YouTube Ozic, go in the Goat House is back. We are halfway through the NFL season, and today in this video, I'm giving you my top 5 players at each position halfway through the year here. So based on this season only, based on the season that's been the part of the season that's been played here. So we'll talk about more than 5 guys for each position. I'll actually talk about a few guys that I considered for the top 5. Who I strongly considered there. So excited for this video. We're always talking, interacting with you guys on Twitter, talking during live games, news, rumors, updates. Super followers get bonus content, so follow that Twitter. It's on your screen, link pinned in the comments, as well as the Picks League and our sponsors, GLD Shop and Liquid IV. Code GOAT is the discount code. GLD Shop, I'm rocking their Micah Parsons chain right now. They just got a Lamar Jackson one in. They have all NFL team logos as well, and more jewelry. Very affordable, especially with that code GOAT, 33% off, and real gold as well. So check it out. Link pinned in the comments for that. Anything else you're looking for. Quarterback ranking. So our super followers already know the answer to this, because our super followers, every single week, I rank all 32 quarterbacks. So it changes by the week. It's a pretty cool graphic now as well. So if you super followers on Twitter, you get that plus a lot more action. So as of right now, through heading into week 10, through 9 weeks, I got Patrick Mahomes at number 1. Clutch win against Tennessee Titans. Was starting a little slow, even though he was definitely doing his part there. It's a very good defense, but was so clutch in the end to go out there and win that game. And he's been clutch all season long. Obviously with his arm, but especially with his legs as well, which has been super impressive. Jalen Hurts is also having an MVP type season. What I like recently is starting to get the ball in the end zone through the air, so he's racking up those passing touchdowns as well. But look at that Steelers game, how he's hitting A.J. Brown, perfect throws, dropping in the bucket, deep downfield, down the sideline, tight coverage. So love that from Hurts, and we know the running ability as well. Josh Allen was sitting at number 1 for a good portion of the season for me with my quarterback rankings, but currently number 3. Ever since that second half of that Packers game, not the best overall. Solid game against Green Bay. Second half, not the best, and then the Jets game, obviously not the best. And it turns out he's dealing with a bit of a elbow issue and might not play against the Vikings this week. We'll see. If he doesn't play, that could kind of hurt his ranking kind of going forward there. But still, overall, has been a dominant quarterback, another one that has used his legs a bit as well. Geno Smith, a surprise. Like, who would have predicted when I do these, because I do these halfway rankings every year, that when I would do these, I would have Geno Smith in the top 5 quarterbacks. Pretty crazy, but he's been fantastic. He goes through his reads so quickly, and some guys go through too quick, like they're just will actually look at an open guy and they don't realize it, or just want to get to that check down, but no, he's doing it right. And that's actually what stands out the most to me. But you see the downfield ball, downfield accuracy, the escapability as well. And Geno Smith's been lights out. The Seahawks have been good. Lamar Jackson, number 5. Obviously, another quarterback, common theme here. Quarterbacks that can also use their legs. He had a good game against the Saints this past week. And then also strongly considered Tua. It's tough not putting Tua in there. I thought it was kind of Lamar. Tua was kind of a battle for me. But since Tua missed some games, it's also very impressive that he's missed games and he's up here with the big boys, Tua Tagovailoa, that is. But because he's maybe missed some games, maybe that's kind of what the slight difference is. But Tua kind of getting back up there, because he was up there, missed some games, was kind of going down my rankings and kind of getting back at the top here. So strongly considered Tua Tagovailoa. And there's other good quarterbacks. Just because I didn't say also consider doesn't mean I think they're having a good season or anything like that. But then who am I considering for top 5? Really just one extra one there. But Burrow's been picking it up. Started a little rocky. Herbert needs some help, but he's been making some clutch throws as well. But those are the top 5 quarterbacks halfway through the year. Let's go on to the running backs. I got Nick Chubb at number 1. Been very consistent every single year. I like that he's been healthy this year, though, and running with even more violence this year. And then who I got at number 2, Derrick Henry, just recently said that he thinks Nick Chubb is the best running back in football this year. So respect Henry for that. Kind of the guy he's always been there. But got Chubb at 1. Derrick Henry really starting to pick it up. A little slow early on in the year, but really getting going, carrying that Titan. The Titans offense is really just Derrick Henry. We kind of thought that in the past, but it really right now is Derrick Henry. Number 3, Saquon Barkley. We got 3 guys, I think, at the top here worthy of being number 1. It's like very tough to have 2 and 3 next to Derrick Henry and Saquon Barkley, because they feel like number 1 backs right now. But Barkley has been ridiculous. Great to see him healthy. The cuts, the lateral movement has been insane. Those top 3 guys have been ridiculous this year. All feel like number 1 backs to me. But Chubb has been an animal out there. He really should be getting the ball more. There's some games they just lost. They barely lost. You kind of look back like, yeah, he probably should have gave Chubb the ball here in this situation, that situation, because he's been that good. Josh Jacobs has been great. Speaking about somebody who should have got the ball more, last week when they blew that comeback against the Jags, only carried the ball 17 times. He should have been well inside in the 20s there. Winning, by a good amount, so definitely should have got the ball more. But when he's gotten the ball, he's been an absolute machine this year. Looks to be running a little quicker. So the McDaniels scheme kind of fits Jacobs a bit. Jacobs fits that scheme a bit. Austin Eckler at number 5. You see his receiving ability comes into play here. Really, the all-purpose yards racking up, but a bunch of touchdowns to the 10 total touchdowns. So he's racking up both running the ball, catch the ball. Big factor for the Chargers offense because they actually haven't really been throwing it downfield as much as you would think. And they've been really beat up at the receiver position. So Eckler's had to step up. And quite a few running backs that kind of popped in my mind when doing this top 5 because Christian McCaffrey's been great, kind of like an Eckler type running back / receiver, and he's really getting going with the 49ers. We even see him throw a touchdown pass. Dalvin Cook's been getting going with the Vikings. They pass the ball more than they run the ball now, so that's a little weird. We see he had a nice one-handed touchdown catch last week. ETN's been really getting going. If they would have played him this much from the start, I think he'd be in that top 5 right now. He's hitting those home run balls. Has those explosive plays. Miles Sanders has been fantastic for the Eagles. This is definitely his best season. We're used to the Eagles like splitting Sanders, Boston Scott, Kenneth Gainwell. You thought they'd split a lot more than and then they're giving those guys some touches, but you expected them to split a lot more, but Sanders has been so good that he's just really getting that heavy load there. Ramondre Stevenson has been fantastic as well. Better than expected catching the ball out of the backfield, but I was a big Stevenson guy at Oklahoma, so his running ability has not surprised me one bit. And kind of filling in, taking over for Damian Harris, but also filling in for his reps too when he's been out. And then Kenneth Walker, the rookie from the Seahawks, has been great for filling in for Rashad Penny, racking up the touchdowns, obviously, and just been key at closing out games recently. So quite a few running backs considered for that 5 spot. I was pretty 1, 2, 3. I knew who not in that order, but I knew right away. I mean, I knew I was gonna have Nick Chubb at 1, but those are 3 that I'm like guaranteed. Those guys are in the top 3. And I knew I was gonna have Jacobs at 4. Jacobs was pretty much locked in that 4 spot. And then I had to consider for number 5, and I was like Eckler, CMC, kind of having similar years, but I'm like, yeah, some of these other backs are looking pretty good too. So I had to sit down and think about it, but decided to go with Eckler. This is kind of I kind of go back and remember that because I watch a stupid amount of football, and I kind of go back and remember big moments of the game, what I've watched, and that's really what I base things off of, what I've seen on the football field. Receivers got to go Tyreek Hill number 1. I mean, it's crazy to think that. I mean, everyone knew he was great, but some people probably thinking like, I think everybody actually taking him away from Mahomes, going to Tua Tagovailoa. I think everyone thought like Hill's still going to be good, but he's not going to be as good because he doesn't have Mahomes anymore. Credit to Tua for playing well, but Tyreek Hill is just as good. He's the only receiver over 1,000 yards, and it's by a good amount he has the lead by as well. And he just has that home run ability. He has he can bring you back at any second. We saw in the Ravens game is one that stands out, but there's games where they recently kind of been back and forth. They need that big play they need it right now, and then all of a sudden Tyreek Hill gets open downfield or comes back to the ball, makes a big time catch, underrated contested catcher as well, but it's just such a big game changing factor. So forget the yards, forget all that. It's a big bonus, but just how clutch he is for wherever he is, and this year it happens to be in Miami. Stephon Diggs at net number 2 here. He's been racking up with touchdowns, so productive all around. He's got to get in the yards as well, but yeah, clutch on the deep ball. Really good underneath as well. We saw there's a couple games where they really hammered the slants or the back shoulders on the sideline. He's just really good at grabbing those, and even if it's contested catch situations, and then kind of being on the same page as Josh Allen, because sometimes Josh Allen has to, good quarterbacks know when they have to put it off target. Let's not put it in harm's way. Off target's actually going to be the most catchable ball, but not every receiver could actually make that play. Diggs can do that. Justin Jefferson's been fantastic as well, making the big plays for the Vikings when they need it most, getting that separation as good as anyone in football. A.J. Brown for the Eagles, that's been a big-time pickup, a steal for them, trading with the Titans. Still can't believe the Titans got rid of him. Didn't want to pay because he didn't get paid a stupid amount of money. It's a lot of money, but nothing that's like crazy, so that's still surprising to me. But A.J. Brown has been great for the Eagles. We see him come up clutch the last few weeks. He had that 3 touchdown game a couple weeks ago. and see him do a bit of everything, working the sideline, going downfield, great after the catch, going up and catch the ball. And Cooper Kupp has had to carry this Rams offense, maybe not quite as productive as last year, but he's really had to carry. Like, the only shot they have at making a big play is Cooper Kupp right now. It's weird to see because the Rams have been so good, but it's been great for Kupp because he's been fantastic. Jalen Waddle, another Dolphins receiver, has been lights out this year. Except when Tua, he needs Tua. When Tua's not in there, he misses him big time. So Waddle's a huge Tua guy. Jamar Chase has missed a couple games now, and he's currently injured. But when he was getting rolling before he got hurt, it just felt like this is possibly the best receiver in football. So I had to give a shout out to Jamar Chase because, when he's healthy, he can be the very best receiver in football, only in his second year. Some of these young guys have been extremely impressive. Tight ends, not a bunch of great tight end play here, but some solid play. Travis Kelce, obviously number one. He's been insane, obviously, especially in the end zone, near the ends, in the red zone. Mark Andrews, I went with number two. Him and Goddard kind of back and forth with that. We've seen Andrews miss last game and Likely stepping up. Isaiah Likely and playing just as well. That's crazy too, but it looks like they got one with him. But yeah, Goddard's been fantastic with the Eagles. A lot of Eagles guys are going to be talking about. So those were like the clear-cut top three. Like clear-cut, and I was back and forth between Andrews and Goddard there. But, the slack that Andrews has to pick up without, very limited at receivers maybe is the edge. 4, with TJ Hawkinson, kind of got two logos in there, and the Lions get more credit for the TJ Hawkinson here in the halfway rankings because he's only played one game for the Vikings. I still can't believe that trade. But yeah, he's had some monster games as well, racking up yards after the catch. And then we seen him when his one game with the Vikings was pretty clutch for them. Had 9 catches, 70 yards or so. So it looks like a good pickup for them. And then Zach Ertz has been pretty productive. I almost wish that they would get him the ball getting him some more targets, and he could be even better. So the Cardinals tight end comes in number 5. Consider Tyler Conklin of the Jets, who I think has been key for that offense there. Maybe a little better than expected. And David Njoku has been solid, earlier in the year mainly, but for the Browns, racking up some big plays. So those are the tight end rankings halfway through the year, this 2022 season. On to the tackles. I got Lane Johnson, the Eagles' right tackle, at number 1. This Eagles offensive line has probably been the best in football. I think them and the Browns will look at those two teams, those two offensive lines. But Johnson's been just key at holding things down. You see all the best pass rushers in football are wanting to come off that side, the right side for the offense these days, and Lane Johnson's been outstanding. Big reason Hurts has all kinds of time and he's able to get outside the tackle and kind of sit out there, just move, scramble, throw on the run out there. So big reason for that. Christian Darrisaw, second-year player for the Vikings, has been just fantastic for them. We were kind of hearing some hype. I know I was very high on him at Virginia Tech. I love that pick for the Vikings, but we were starting to hear even more hype kind of going into this year, like how much they love him. Like, all right, let's wait and see. And he's been great for them. It's one of those guys you kind of make a highlight tape out of. Every time I'm on Twitter, I see him pancaking somebody. So he's been equally effective pass protection and run blocking. We see the Vikings offensive line really taking that big step up this year, and Darrisaw is a big, big reason. Andrew Thomas has been fantastic for the Giants. There's the big three here with the 1, 2, 3. These are the guys I knew I was going to have in the top 3, and they're all pretty damn close. But Thomas has been fantastic. So look at the rookie year, like how he started off was pretty bad. Like, it was pretty bad. And then at the end of the season, like, all right, he's getting going. And last year he was very solid, and this year he's even more solid. So it kind of gives you some other teams, fans, tackles, some hope that, if they start off a little slow, it's okay, because then it can end up being a great one here, like Andrew Thomas. And Tristan Wirfs, the Bucs offensive line really hasn't been the same, but Tristan Wirfs has been the same. He's been a fantastic right tackle for them. And it's good to see Laramie Tunsil back in action because he's been very, very solid for the Texans there at the tackle. And there's always been those trade rumors, and it's looking pretty good that they held on to him. And then Jack Conklin of the Browns right tackle. When he's played, he's looked pretty damn solid. Brian O'Neill, the other Vikings tackle, that tackle duel is looking really good. And O'Neill's been one of the top tackles last few years. It's crazy that Darrisaw looks better right now off the left side. And then Trent Williams, who's missed some games, he's played 5, but when he's played, he's been very, very good. Maybe minus the Chiefs game. But he's been very, very dominant like he normally is when we see him in action. So there's some more guys that kind of popped in my mind there when thinking about top 5 tackles. On to interior offensive linemen, so all the interior guard and center. We got a couple Chiefs in here. We see, but Joel Bitonio, no hesitation, putting him at number 1. This Browns offensive line, I think them and the Eagles, best in football And Batonio's been just so key leading the way for Nick Chubb up there. And Joe Thuney of the Chiefs been fantastic in terms of run blocking and very solid pass protecting as well. And Michael Onwenu of the Patriots, see the versatility on him. We saw that the last couple years as well, but has been very effective. And then Creed Humphrey, the center, rookie center last year, looked like one of the best centers, if not the best in football. Second year, looking like the best again. And Chris Lindstrom really picking up. When the Falcons drafted him, it was like felt like they picked him pretty early. And in the first year or two, he didn't really look that great. So you kind of question it. But recently, last year and especially going into this year, has really picked it up, has looked really solid. Landon Dickerson, I think, has been solid for the Eagles. Wyatt Teller, the other Browns guard. Zach Martin, of course. And Elijah Vera-Tucker, I know he's injured now out for the year, but got to give a shout out to him because he's had to play everywhere pretty much, guard and tackle for the Jets, and he's been very, very solid. At USC, he was a tackle as last year. We saw him at guard too, and think this guy's going to be a Pro Bowl level guard. And he's kind of looked like kind of close to that, or he was getting there, and he's had to fill a tackle, and he's looked good there as well. Just unfortunate he got hurt, but I had to give him some love because halfway through the season, most of that part of the season, he's looked very, very good for the Jets there. And then on to the defensive lineman. I got Jeffrey Simmons at number 1, the Tennessee Titans interior defensive lineman who, I know they have Kevin Byard out there as well, but Jeffrey Simmons is the most important piece of that defense. He holds it down up front. They're missing guys all year on that defense, especially in the front 7, but Simmons is holding it down with other guys. But and it's looking like one of the better defenses in football. They look like the best run-stopping defense once again in football, and it starts with Simmons. When I combine, because I look at the interior defensive lineman, I'm looking at equally stopping a run and getting interior pressure equally. And if I combine both those, who has shown me the most high level on both those? And I'd say Jeffrey Simmons. So that's a big reason I have him at number 1. And he's, I think, a little beat up. So I'm hoping he plays this week against the Broncos. Quinnen Williams really taken off this year, and he's been productive in the last few years, but really getting going and seeing why he was that top tier, considered an elite prospect out of Alabama, getting crazy pressure. And you see the movement skills for the big dude, too. He looks like he's very difficult to block, just kind of too quick, has too many pass rush moves for teams to block, and he's been extremely productive, and a big reason that Jets defense is pretty stout this year. Chris Jones has been doing a good job getting that interior pressure as well. Been a kind of a game wrecker when he gets it, big moments there. And Aaron Donald, we're used to seeing him at the top. Him and Chris Jones right next to each other there, 3-4. It has been obviously disruptive, obviously, in there. But wish that the Rams had Von Miller in there, somebody like that to help him even more, and then Aaron Donald helped those guys even more. And then Dexter Lawrence, who was very high out of Clemson a few years ago, and he's been solid for them, but kind of waiting for him to really take off, start getting close to that elite player that I thought he can be, and he's starting to be that guy. I see him dominant, stopping the run. I think carrying this group of the Giants, stopping the run, but he's been getting that interior pressure way more than he's been in the past because he kind of came in as a pure run stuffer. But Lawrence has looked fantastic, and there's quite a few other guys that are really, they're really good guys. Vita Vea, weird because Vita Vea is usually like the best run stopping defensive lineman in football. Doesn't really get he collapses pockets. He'll drive your, offensive lineman back, a guard back, or a center back. This year, though, he hasn't been as good stopping a run, but he's been getting crazy pressure on the quarterback. Jerome Payne's been great, too. Another nose tackle. We're talking about nose tackles here. Well, Lawrence plays a little bit of nose and will line up at D tackle. But Vea and Payne, nose tackles here that have been doing a really good job getting interior pressure, obviously collapsing some pockets. And then Draymond Jones of the Broncos has been fantastic for them, getting pressure from pretty much everywhere. Jonathan Allen as well, tackle for loss machine. So you see a couple Commanders we mentioned. Grady Jarrett has been very good, very disruptive for the Atlanta Falcons as well. So all those guys felt like this one was tough, really tough. Not tougher than the other ones because all those guys really felt like top 5 guys. There's just so many good interior defensive linemen right now. And the same thing kind of goes for the edge group here. Tough to just narrow it down to 5. I got Micah Parsons at number 1. I think it's pretty clear cut right now. The player that he is in his second year. And last year I would rank him with the linebackers because he's actually played a little bit more up-ball linebacker than edge. This year he's really stood out more as an edge guy, but plays both still. So you see the versatility. You see the pressure he can get from inside and out. You see the sack production. You see the pressure production. But big one, He creates for guys around him receiving it. We saw it last year, receiving it more this year. I mean, there's guys really taking off. Dorrance Armstrong, Sam Williams, because themselves and Dan Quinn, the Cowboys defense, but Micah Parsons is where it starts. And he's the biggest reason why that is the number one defense in football. Zadarius Smith has been an incredible pickup for the Vikings, and it's just kind of shown. The last time we seen him play healthy for the Packers it's just kind of the same thing. He's another guy kind of like Parsons where he creates for his teammates because you don't know where this guy's lining up. You don't know where he's rushing from if he's dropping back, and it kind of opens things up for the other guys, and we see other guys on that team kind of getting going more. But Zadarius Smith, usually that's why it's crazy. Parsons and Smith have been as productive as they are every year because those are the types of guys that just open things up for their teammates. But these guys are extremely productive themselves. I mean, Zadarius Smith is second in sacks. He's leading the league in tackles for loss. He's been great stopping the run as well. Been constantly getting pressure, so he's been a fantastic pickup for the Vikings. Then Von Miller at 3. Von Miller, this is like a big impact guy. He's ranked in the top 3. I mean, he's got production, he's got pressures, he's got sacks, but the big reason I put him in the top 3, big moment guy. Like when the third down or second down to force a third and long, like he in crucial moments in games, he is coming up with those sacks or those key pressures. It just feels like in the biggest moments. So that's a big reason Von Miller's 3. Matthew Judon, who's leading the league in sacks right now, so that's got to get him up here because he's getting home and he's getting the quarterback down. It just reminds me of last year. First half of the season, he was insane, like Defensive Player of the Year candidate. Still good in the second half of the year, but kind of tailed off a little bit. So hopefully not the same thing, even though he was still good enough in the second half of the year. But hopefully he can just keep on going here because he's been a monster for the Patriots. Obviously, a lot of things kind of schemed up that way. You look at that defense the way it is. But the Max Crosby 5, I want those Raiders sack totals to be higher. Want them to be higher. You wish. Perfect world, you wish Crosby was kind of creating for some of these other guys. Like, where's Chandler Jones at? They struggle on the interior as well. But Crosby he's been a big factor, especially in the run game as well, making a play in the backfield, disrupting plays. Just love the way he plays. So I got him at 5. Nick Bosa has been extremely productive. It's just tough not putting him in there. Myles Garrett, I thought he started a little slow this year, but given that, the production's pretty ridiculous. For really kind of just showing up the last few weeks. So he's really getting going now. I think those two guys maybe we can expect to be in the top 5 in the year's end here. And then because Bosa's missed a game or two as well. Danico Autry, an interesting one because we had him ranked high in the interior defensive line last year because I thought he had a standout season for the Tennessee Titans, getting interior pressure, stopping a run. And I thought you look back to when he was on the Colts, he was pretty versatile moving around, but I thought the Colts were kind of playing him out of position. I like him more inside. Titans take him. He plays more inside. He has a breakout year. I'm like, that makes sense because I thought he's more inside. So this year, Harold Landry goes down before the season even starts. So Autry's got to play more edge. They move him around a bit. We're going to play you more at edge. And he's been extremely productive there. He's got 7 sacks right now. So a guy that's got to move positions is based on what's happening and being that productive. And a big reason why the Titans defense has been very stout. I'm impressed. And Hassan Reddick, a little better earlier in the year than recently, but another one of those guys that moves around a bit. You got to kind of figure him out pre-snap, and it kind of opens things up for the rest of the team. So it's caught my eye. And Brian Burns as well. The Panthers really has to carry that group when it comes to getting pressure, getting to the quarterback, and he's been very productive. So quite a few guys that feel like top 5 guys here from the edge, but some of the best players in football right now. I mean, we got the sack leader at number 4. That's how good these guys have been. I mean, some of the very best players in football on this list here, so very impressive. Linebackers haven't been that great this year. Like, there hasn't been a long list of great linebacker play in my opinion. But you know who's been great? Matt Milano, who is by far in my opinion, by far the best linebacker in football based on what I've seen this year. And it was unfortunate he missed that last game against the Jets. They missed him pretty bad. I know the Jets didn't score a whole lot of points, but they were able to run the ball, control the time of possession big time in that game, and it was a big loss. But that was the only game he's missed, and he's been absolutely fantastic for them. He's everywhere when you watch this guy, absolutely everywhere in the pass game, in the run game. Maybe the most important part of that team. They got Von Miller. They got those safeties. I know they're missing Hyde this year. They're going to get White back at corner soon, but it feels like Milano might be the most important part of that defense there. And then DeMario Davis, number 2, has been playing better these recent weeks for sure. Was okay earlier in the year, but been playing a lot better. Really, really good football recently. Kind of what we're used to. Then Foye Oluokun of the Jags, their big pickups. Kind of been a machine, just being productive machine out there flying around the field. Him and Devin Lloyd playing pretty damn well. Nick Bolton, same thing. He's kind of a high motor guy, just racking everything up there. I think carrying that Chiefs group. because Willie Gay missed some time. He's been very inconsistent when he's in there as well. It feels like Bolton is the linebacker group there. And then David Long Jr. has kind of stood out to me of the Titans and their front seven, which has been really, really good, even having some injuries there. Best defense stopping run. David Long Jr. Has stood out in the run game, but he's also got his hands on the ball a couple times too, so he's kind of stood out to me there. And Cunningham's been out, and he's kind of been very underwhelming as well, so Long Jr. Having to carry that group. And then we got Fred Warner, Bobby Wagner, and C.J. Mosley, some big-name veterans there that I also considered for the top 5. They've had fantastic seasons as well. But not a super long list. All the other positions, we're only ranking top 5, but I mean, you can go like there's like 30 good players at this position. There's like 20 here. Linebackers, not a huge list of them, I'd say, but these guys all have been great. Corners, all these guys are so tight. Like all of them, like even the honorable mentions, like they're all so tight. It's like, wasn't like a clear one, a clear two. Like they're all very good, all close together. I'm going to go Darius Slay. Almost noticing him more, maybe standing out more, going against number ones, mixture of zone and man coverage, just making big play Slay. They don't call him that for nothing. And right when you think he maybe could be declining a little bit, nope, he's looking better than ever right now. So he's been fantastic for the Eagles. So I put him at number 1. Trevon Diggs has been once again impressive. Was very productive getting his hands on the ball last year. Did give up quite a few yards last year. On track to give up much less this year. But what I like, last year playing a lot of man coverage, which is very, very difficult. We knew for the Cowboys to have to kind of stay fresh, to stay at the top, you got to switch it up a little bit. Got to run a little bit more zone. The man got a little more predictable at the end of last year. Would be very predictable this year, and they've added a lot more zone in that defense. It's a big reason why they are the top defense in football, because they're not they're very unpredictable now. So Diggs feeling like just a man corner, able to transition to that and play even better, really. Maybe not getting his hands on the ball as much, but he's a little more locked down than he was last year. Wouldn't consider him locked down last year. So Diggs has been super impressive. Patrick Surtain's been a lockdown guy for sure. The Broncos, really excited about him, only in his second year. And then you got Sauce Gardner, who's just a rookie. He's been absolutely fantastic. Another lockdown type guy. And you see the Jets mixing it up with their zone and man. Same thing with the Broncos. They ran mainly man last year, more so cover 4, I'd say, most of this year. So very impressive. And Ramsey maybe started a little slow, but really getting going recently. And you see him coming up making tackles like he always does as well. So he's at 5. Other guys I consider, the other Eagles corner, James Bradbury. I'm blocking it, but Tariq Woolen, the late round rookie who was a steal for the Seahawks, was supposed to be kind of like a raw prospect. Like I liked him a lot. Thought he was a second round guy, but I was basing it off of what he can be. I'm like, he can be a stud. He might have to wait a little bit. He's not waiting. He's playing really, really well right now. Alexander been picking up a little bit recently. Travarius Ward missed some time, but for the 49ers, he's been fantastic. Adoree Jackson of the Giants, he's given up some yards, but the Giants run an insane amount of man coverage, the most in football. It is so difficult to play man coverage, and you factor in who blitzes the most, too. The Giants blitz the most, and they run a lot of cover 0, so you're bringing the safeties up. You're blitzing your safeties. Those corners are on an absolute island, and Adoree Jackson, he's played well, given how he might have the toughest job in football this year, so a guy like that, so he stood out to me. It's good to see him healthy at the moment, but he stood out. And then J.C. Horn missed a little bit in there, but earlier in the year was absolutely locked down. He's looking pretty damn promising, the Panthers' young corner there. So a lot of corners really standing out for different reasons there, but all of them so tight. Like 1 week could change, make me put somebody I have an honorable mention up at number 1 even. So those guys are all like very, very, very tight, unlike the other positions. Safeties, I don't think there's a long list of great safety play this year, but Minkah Fitzpatrick's really stood out. I mean, the quarter, which is half of the season, the first quarter of the season, I mean, he was insane. Like, it was looking like this might be one of the best safety performances in NFL history season long if he keeps this up. So he was better earlier in the year than maybe recently, and he did miss a game in there, but still a ridiculous season so far. Pretty much on an island back there by himself as well, and it's a big reason the Steelers defense can kind of still, they haven't been as good obviously without TJ Watt, but Still a very solid defense, tough to deal with, and big reason is a guy like Minka Fitzpatrick. Harrison Smith has still got it. I think he's going to decline, and he's having a fantastic year. He's making such clutch plays in clutch moments this year. And I notice a lot of the Vikings run a ton of zone coverage, as much as anyone, second most in the NFL maybe. And I notice him kind of leaving his zone and getting to where the ball is about to go, kind of cleaning up other guys' zones. That stood out to me when I've watched him as well, and he just continues to make big time plays. So Harrison Smith, he's got the brains. He's still got the brains there. Such a smart player. C.J. Gardner-Johnson has been a big pickup for the Eagles. Playing more of, like before, he was more of a slot corner. They move him around a bit everywhere. And it's funny, actually, we talk about Harrison Smith. I wouldn't compare Gardner-Johnson to Harrison Smith. They're just different builds, different where their strengths are. But Jonathan Gannon is defensive coordinator of the Eagles, and he was actually a DB coach with Harrison Smith, kind of his prime. And back then they moved Harrison Smith around even more. See him at free safety, strong safety, almost weak side linebacker. He still moves around quite a bit, but he moved around like crazy then. Maybe a little bit what they're doing with Gardner-Johnson there, moving him around a bit, but see him being a big play type guy in the back end, obviously, which has stood out because we didn't really see much of that with the Saints. We've seen a little bit of it at Florida, but he was still more of a slot guy. So that's really stood out, and he's got his hands in the ball quite a bit. Hasn't been super great in run support, but just been a big-time playmaker back there, which they're asking from him. Derwin James, number 4. He's been lights out for the Chargers, obviously. You see physical and man coverage, a lot of man coverage over there. He's got to line up with the tight ends. You can line up a corner if you wanted to. Physical when it comes to stopping the run or tackling guys in the open field. And Telano Ofunga has been a big play guy for the 49ers, just a high motor guy everywhere. Started the year off maybe like the best in football. Maybe some other guys passed him up, but Ufunga's been fantastic. And then Antoine Winfield, who's just missed 2 games in a row, has looked really good. Really good at, playing around the box, getting after the quarterback, stopping the run. And that's what we liked about Winfield, because we feel like he's versatile and he can do anything, but I thought he was more of a back end, free safety type guy. If we had to pick what he's best at this year, a little different, but been big. And Poyer was looking like the best. When Jordan Poyer's played, he's looked like number 1. The Bills safety here, he's looked like number 1, but he's only played 5 games right now. A lot of these guys played 8, 9, so it's tough to rank him in the top 5 when he's only played 5 games. But when he's played, he's looked like number 1, so keep that in mind. And Budda Baker's been key, now injured, been key for the Cardinals defense, I think, carrying it there in the secondary. Then Kevin Byard kind of on an island back there in the middle of the field for the Tennessee Titans, not good defense there, so who I thought was the best safety last year. So there's the safety rankings there, and I think 1-2 games could kind of shake things up in that one as well. And then on to the kickers. Daniel Carlson continues his streak of making field goals. He's 18 for 18 this year. That's a lot of kicks. Not too many guys have kicked a whole lot more. 18 for 18, so he's got to be number 1. Ryan Suckup has really drilled some. He's kicked a lot of field goals. Only missed a couple, and he's drilled some deep ones as well. And Nick Folk has been very consistent, hit some clutch ones, some deep ones, and Justin Tucker as well. Of course, you got to see Justin Tucker up here. And Graham Gano. A lot of these guys, Daniel Carson's number 1 because he's kicked a lot and he's made all of them. Some of these other guys missed 1 or 2. Look at Suckup, Folk, Tucker, Gano, but they've been very consistent on deep ones, hitting clutch kicks, and very, very accurate. And you look at Myers, kind of in that same boat, though these other guys have been a little better. Santos of the Bears, Myers of the Seahawks, Santos of the Bears actually hasn't missed. He's 13 for 13. That's very impressive. It's a limited amount of kicks. Has missed 2 extra points, so that kind of factored in with these guys splitting hairs here, talking about the top 5. But yeah, some impressive kicking out there, obviously, and there's some kickers blowing it for teams, per usual. Ever since the extra point thing's big, ever since they changed the extra point thing or narrowed the goalpost there. And then punters, looking for, I'm looking for punters that pinning inside the 20, avoiding those touchbacks. Who's doing that consistently or a good amount, and then, averaging, a good distance of punt. Do they have the boot on him? Tress Way has been a monster with keeping it inside the 20, absolutely over 20 times this year. Ryan Stonehouse, some people will question the Titans keeping him, the kid. He's been fantastic. He's averaging the furthest punt in football this year, and he's been good in every category. Hecker for the Panthers. You obviously not seeing him in the Rams, seeing the Panthers is weird, but has been very solid for them. And Ryan Wright, another young kid there. He's got a boot. He's had some deep punts. He's been good with keeping inside the 20. Doesn't have a touchback this year, actually. And he had a punt that actually stood out to me as a couple weeks ago against the Cardinals. It was like a weird whip angle. I don't know what it was on it. And then the Cardinals fumbled it too on that. So then that was actually key for that game. Then Cameron Johnson has been pretty consistent for the Texans. And it shows the kickers still. It was honorable mention for the kickers, not the punters. So ignore that. Graphics guy. He's gonna get it. He's gonna have to hear about that one. But that is it for that's top 5 players each position based on 2022 through halfway this season, because that's all that's been played right now. We've got a Week 10 game tonight in less than an hour with Thursday night game. We'll be talking on Twitter during that like we always do. Super followers we'll get these updated rankings here and there. Also get updated top 32 quarterbacks every single week. Also get best bets, bonus content, always thinking of more stuff. So go ahead and check that out. But if you don't want to super follow, you can just follow our Twitter anyways, because we got constant NFL talk on there. Like, subscribe, turn notifications on here on the channel because we have full NFL coverage. We'll update our playoff predictions for halfway the year. Still got to do that. But yeah, make sure you join us for all that. We much appreciate it. It's going to do it. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.